Matt, where do slaveholders rank? What were the slaves' sources of information, Joanne? What strengthened a slave's sense of kinship with their peers, with other slaves? They in a union or something? What's Owens's conclusion about the underlying purpose of these patrols?
Illusion of security.
Illusion of security.
Make it seem like there's actually something in place that you can get in a severe amount of trouble for if you try and do something bad. But
Can you think of a modern parallel? What about those crack TSA agents at the airports that screen you? Nothing gets through them, right?
no, that's not true at all. Wasn't there the underwear bomber and, you know?
Yeah.
Clear subversive. We'll have to keep an eye on that. They're running away because they're suffering from mental illness. What other reason could there be?
Why run away from something that you have that's so good, some people may say. You have a place here that you're clothed, you get food. Why run away from that?
That's what Cartwright couldn't believe, and that's what a lot of Southern slaveholders couldn't believe. Especially if you believe that 1840 census, which says that free blacks have this very high rate of insanity, they can't take care of themselves, etc.
So it must have just been the runaway slaves in Maine that were mental.
That's a connection that I don't know they ever made. That's sort of an
If they had to be crazy to run away, it was all the runaway slaves were.
I like it. That's something Cartwright didn't think of, or John Calhoun either, for that matter. But yeah, I think that's pretty good. What if you have children? Were these slaves married? What do you mean by marriage?
He said they have different ideas of like a union.
Union, Nicole, is a much better word than marriage.
But in their eyes, they had a wife.
They did until she was taken away.
I imagine it kept them continuing on. Or else,
Yeah.
you know, if they didn't have it, they would have probably just, as Dan was saying, just run away and not even turn back.
To me, this is one of the more horrible aspects of a horrible thing. The fact that you might live with the same person, sleep with the same person, have children and even grandchildren over a 50-year period, and at the drop of a hat, be separated.
Did it happen as often as they, or was it the threat of it happening was?
I think it's more the threat. On the other hand, generalizing here, over 4 million people by 1860, you could expect to be sold.
Used as a punishment.
Yeah, you could expect to be sold at least once in your lifetime.
He says later on too that it was like with families, if they were separated, it was like a good thing if you were at least like 2 or 3 plantations over from your husband or your wife. Like you lucked out if that was the case.
Why, Nicole, might it actually be a good thing not to be on the same plantation as your significant other?
I mean, if you
They
do
couldn't
something
use you
wrong,
against
couldn't
each
they,
other,
couldn't
right.
they, you know, couldn't they punish the other person
Could
too?
strain the union, because he said, you know, a lot of the times, you know, the husband or the wife, they would get whipped and the other person would just have to sit there and can't say anything, can't do anything.
What if your woman is the property of a guy who sexually assaults his slave women, or his son does it?
You wouldn't be able to do anything about it.
There's absolutely nothing you can do that's not going to cost you your own life.
Again, that might be some motivation to run away.
Could the patrol's membership and efficiency be guaranteed?
I was reading this, I found sort of like a modern parallel, but like the opposite of this. He said in like Malden and Everett and Medford, there's a group called like the Red Berets that patrol the streets or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They started in New York.
They're the guardians.
Yeah, Guardian Angels.
Yeah. Do any of you think that modern scholars ever read into or perhaps project their own opinions?
I haven't read anything yet.
They have in every single book we've read.
It seems like they go into this research with a preconceived thoughts. So,
Often they do.
You know, so you're looking for documentation for something that you've already thought about. The primary sources of the era are also not going to have the knowledge of today. They're not going to be able to interpret suicide the same way
No, of course
scholars
not.
today would be able to,
Yeah, when he
because
talks
the
about-
medical field is just
When he
changed.
writes about
Absolutely.
dementia in this chapter,
Yeah,
he
but even
talks
religion
about,
too, you can question
he
that.
talks
Yeah.
about his
In the concentration camp, you're gonna work them to death, and then someone takes their place.
Were there a lot of concentration camp survivors?
Nazi Germany.
Some,
Higher percentage
yeah,
of slaves
absolutely.
survived. Also, too, when the concentration camps were taken down, the society that created them was also taken away. Where here, I mean, the society here after the Civil War was restrained a little bit, but it wasn't taken away.